Okay, we are live. I missed yesterday, so I need to make up for it. I have something valuable to share. Okay, so let me hit the preface of this. The preface is I can't believe how many conversations I'm having over the summer with sales leaders who have said, "Listen, I just I cannot believe how far behind we are in pipeline creation, in lead generation. My sellers, I've got this ultimate Pareto's law of sellers who 20% have hit quota, 80% have fallen behind. And yet we keep trying to solve this problem with tools and we keep thinking that AI is going to be the solution. I'm going to give you an analogy and then I'm going to show you the three biggest time vampires that are killing your sellers. It's a time management problem that is, of course, yes, the market's soft, I get it, but it's a time management issue that is hurting our sellers more. My analogy, and I stick by this analogy, I've written about this analogy a million times. You have a sales challenge. You want to get your sellers from point A to point B to get to work faster. So, what is the natural inclination of a sales leader? Let's buy them all Porsches. We load them up with really expensive Porsches. The problem is 20% of the sellers get there faster because they know how to drive manual and they have race car experience. 50% of sellers, you know what? They don't get there any faster. Sometimes it sits in the garage. Most of the time they don't use it. They can't get in the habit and they're bogged down with so many other things that some days they ride the bus, some days they walk, some days they scooter. And then you got 30% of sellers that don't even know how to drive a manual transmission Porsche. So they leave it in the garage and they take the bus. This is what happens to your sales team. 20% of sellers get the tools and utilize them and create greater usage and utility and, of course, speed to productivity. But for the most of the other sellers, they can't put it into their day to day. So I'm going to share my screen now. That was my rant. My screen share here is I want to show you the three biggest categories that you have to analyze and you have to recognize that every minute that a seller is doing one of these tasks is a minute of opportunity cost of what's called $500 an hour value creation, which is the joining of a demo and discovery call to use their skills strategically to ask the right questions, to do qualification, whether that's Medic or Bant or whatever Champ, whatever you do, to qualify customers in and out. Account selection and account prioritization and segmentation is a $500 an hour value creation. This is so valuable that there is no AI that's going to replace that. It is listening to the customer, dissecting their problem, giving them recommendations and solutions. The other part of the sales process that's super valuable, of course, is proposal, negotiation, working with that buying committee to find a win-win solution. Again, $500 an hour value creation. But everything outside of that are $5 an hour tasks. So here are the three vampires. Number one is going to come with data and sales intelligence. I tried to develop a job change alert software, right? I'm self-admitting that it was a race to zero. When I invented this, we were the second in the market. When we came out with Pipeline Signals, we were the second in the world to at scale find job change alerts. And there was UserGems first, then us, then Champify. That is a race to zero business because the data is free and available if you just know how to mine it. The problem, the whole reason, the whole premise to this entire vertical of sales intelligence, especially job change alerts, it's a time management problem. It took your sellers too long to mine the data. So you paid a software, and at first the margins were very high, charging $4,000 a month. But now any offshore agency can pull this data. And so Data on the left-hand side, TAM maps, account lists, contact lists, enriching that data, phone numbers and emails and LinkedIn. The fact that your sellers are going after a market but are not prepared, they don't have all their arrows in the quiver. They don't know every customer, every prospect segmented by vertical or industry or geography or named accounts, who's in the buying committee, what are their emails and phone numbers and LinkedIn addresses. That needs to be prepped. That data monster needs to be prepped up front. Number two, that data has to live somewhere. A CRM cannot be a balance sheet. It is not a snapshot in time. It is a P&L statement, and that P&L statement needs to evolve. When I built Pipeline Signals, I came to recognize really quickly that 3% of a CRM decays every month. That's 50% a year. 50% of your CRM will be worthless in 1 year because that's how fast people are changing jobs. So who is architecting the design of the CRM? Who is maintaining and enriching the CRM of contacts, companies, deals, tickets? How are we creating cadences and sequences in it? How are you using those cadences and sequences? Remember, asking a seller to update the notes in a deal after a call instead of bouncing from call to call, that's a complete waste of time. And then last is the research pre and post. What are the market research, the intelligence you might want to glean to give to a customer? Account research, call prep, contact gathering, all this kind of information that is needed for a pre-meeting. So you're about to walk into a meeting. Who's going to be at the meeting? Who's not going to be at the meeting? Who's not at the meeting is as important as who is in the meeting. Who's not in the meeting, a great seller can leverage that to say, I noticed that Susan's not on this call, but Susan's the chief marketing officer. How is she going to be involved in the buying committee? And this is how you qualify a deal in or out. You see, if Susan's not there, that A is a yellow flag. B, if the prospect can't tell you a compelling reason why Susan wasn't on the call, and if or not she will be involved in the journey, well, then you can discern maybe A, the people that I have on the call are not the people that are capable of buying, or they're trying to be a blocker or detractor. And if they're not giving you access to the right people in a timely manner, then that's a red flag. Then this is not a qualified opportunity. But the offshore agent who's doing the $5 an hour task, they helped you build out that buying committee. They told you, you're about to walk into a call. Here are the 3 people that are going to be on the call. Here are the 3 people that are part of your natural buying committee that aren't going to be on the call, so that the seller can be armed with that information to make an informed decision. By the way, customer, I noticed that Susan's not on this call. Why? So I wanted to be able to share this with everybody, as if you look honestly at your team and you catch your sellers doing, oh, we don't have a list of all of the SaaS software companies in the state of Texas. Okay, well, who's going to build that? Who are the contacts? Maybe you sell to the chief marketing officer or the chief revenue officer, or the chief operating officer, and their department, or kind of like the office of. Who's going to build that? Who's going to enrich all that data? How's that data going to go into your CRM and inform all your cadences and sequences and campaigns in the future? If you've asked anyone in North America to do that, and you've asked them to pause selling so that you can build a database, complete time vampire. And guess what? The average seller is spending plus 10 hours a week doing stuff like this. They're not telling you they're doing it. It's all part of the job title. It's all part of like the job description for a seller to do this stuff. But that is not a great use of a seller's time. So if you want to get greater productivity, if you buy back those 10 hours a week, that's 500 hours a month, of a year, that you could be giving back to your sellers at scale so that they can deploy and market. You've got to figure out ways of buying out those $5 an hour tasks from them so they can create you more $500 an hour value creation.